At first, I never had plans to make this video, but a last-minute family outing during our trip to Pennsylvania made this possible. Today, we are riding the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway on an excursion into its namesake state park. As an added bonus, we are doing this trip in one of the dome cars, providing a massive throwback to the golden age of rail travel in the US. With that said, I hope you enjoyed this quick bonus video riding this cool little heritage railway in Pennsylvania. Our journey starts in the town of Jim Thorpe, located in eastern Pennsylvania at the southern end of the Pocono Mountains. Jim Thorpe is a charming little place and is especially popular for its proximity to the Poconos and various historical attractions, primarily being the starting point for the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway. Tickets can be purchased both online and right at the station, and I especially liked how pictures of each seating accommodation and their prices are displayed on the window. They're also listed on the back of the brochures, which are all helpful for deciding which class to book. The Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway operates 3 trips on weekdays and 4 on weekends and holidays. I couldn't find much information on where each train goes, but I'm sure it's the same set of rolling stock used for each trip. We arrived in Jim Thorpe right as the 3 p.m. Lehigh Limited was departing, which would have been bad news if it was an ordinary weekday. Thankfully, we're taking this trip on the 4th of July, so despite it being a weekday, the railroad was operating by the weekend schedule, so we got tickets for the 4 p.m. train 37, the Gorge Express, the last one of the day. These trains are usually pretty long, so to avoid confusion, there are signs posted along the platforms showing where passengers in each class will board from. The Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway is operated by the Reading Blue Mountain and Northern Railroad, which owns a large fleet of heritage rolling stock. And here's a prime example, one of its 3 Budd Rail Diesel cars, or RDCs, which were primarily seen in North American commuter rail usage from around the 50s until the 80s. This was my first time ever seeing an operational RDC in person, and it is pretty weird to see a solitary rail car moving without any help from a locomotive, but then again that's what made the RDCs unique. Shortly after the RDC passed by, GP38-2 number 2023, numbered and painted to celebrate the railroad's 40th anniversary, pulled into the station with a 3-car train. At the end was the King Cole, the railroad's only first-class observation car. According to the railroad's website, this car is primarily used by railroad management, but is occasionally open to the public on special holidays or trips. Now, given that it is the 4th of July, maybe this was a special charter train, but I couldn't really tell because it wasn't listed on the schedule. A few minutes after the previous train departed, our train reversed into the station because it literally travels up the track 16 miles and then reverses on the way back. I later found out that the locomotive normally attaches to the end of the train for the return journey, but since it was a much busier day, the quickest and easiest alternative was simply to travel backwards to Jim Thorpe with the conductor keeping watch. The train is composed of 13 cars, including standard non-air-conditioned coaches, open-air coaches, proper air-conditioned coaches, 3 dome cars, and first-class cars. We had purchased tickets to ride in the dome car, and we could choose whichever car to ride in, and we ended up getting seats in this one right here, named Scenic View. Now, for any railroad enthusiasts, if this paint scheme looks familiar, it's exactly what you're thinking of. This dome car was most recently operated by Iowa Pacific, a private holding company that operated multiple rail operations until it went bankrupt in 2020. Iowa Pacific's livery was pretty much a carbon copy of the OG Illinois Central Railroad's orange and chocolate paint scheme that was widespread in the mid to late 20th century. This was perfect for me since the Illinois Central Railroad, also known as the Main Line of Mid-America, passed through my hometown, and you still see remnants of IC history because many of the railroad bridges still have ICRR engraved on them for Illinois Central Railroad, despite Canadian National Railroad buying Illinois Central in 1999. Here's the Illinois Central City of New Orleans train in my hometown Champaign, Illinois, back in 1962. 9 years later, Amtrak would take over this route and they continue to operate it to this day. Boarding was a pretty organized process, and soon enough we were seated in the upper level of the dome car, complete with seats and tables. In no time, we set off from Jim Thorpe, which used to receive regular passenger service from the Lehigh Valley Railroad from 1903 to 1961. The station was located on the railroad's main line with service from Buffalo to New York Penn Station or Jersey City.
3 bridge The current bridge is nearly 1,000 feet long, sits approximately 100 feet above the Lehigh River, and leads visitors to Jim Thorpe's Memorial on the other end of town, and beyond that, into the Poconos.
I wonder if those dancers are going to come and bring hot chocolate, remember? Polar Express.
Our train travels 16 miles into Lehigh Gorge State Park. The total travel time is roughly 70 minutes given we don't travel especially fast. The route parallels the Lehigh River in its entirety along with a biking and hiking trail. The locomotive leading our train is GP38-2 number 2013, which was originally built in 1973 hauling freight for Norfolk Southern Railroad before being bought by Reading and Northern. It's also the exact locomotive depicted on our tickets. The Reading and Northern has been operating passenger excursions since 1985, with the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway, its sister company, commencing operations in 2005. These excursions into the state park are rather new, having only been launched as recently as August of 2020. The railroad is owned by Mr. Andy Muller Jr., who also serves as the CEO. As a railroad enthusiast himself, he's invested millions into the company, not only growing its freight operations hauling anthracite coal, but also ensuring that these passenger excursions continue to run. One of the conductors we were speaking with mentioned that the railroad had just purchased a new steam locomotive for something like $4.5 million. Now, don't quote me on that, but it was definitely an amount somewhere in the millions. Eventually, we reached the end of our 16-mile journey into the Gorge State Park, and I used this time to walk around the rest of the dome car. The lower level of the car has some more tables and seats, and passengers technically aren't allowed to be down here unless they're using the restrooms, with one located on each end of the car. I guess the seats down here aren't sold primarily because they detract from the whole point of booking a dome car seat, because you ideally want to be seated upstairs in the actual dome section. So I'm gonna narrate this portion real quick. So, of course, we're in a former dome car that used to be in service on like actual passenger trains. So this portion would have been the main dining area. So this would have been the kitchen right here where they'd prepare the food, most likely. Now it's just used as general storage, it seems. Really cool to be in this thing. I've never been in a dome car before, and definitely a bucket list item for sure. Now we're headed back towards Jim Thorpe in reverse mode. I switched over to the other side of the car to enjoy some different views as we made our way backward to Jim Thorpe. Now, to be honest, there's nothing crazy scenery-wise on this trip, but it does help that one of the conductors narrates the entire journey over the PA system, so you know exactly what you're passing by or looking at. Doing this trip in the dome car was a really unique experience, not only because of the extra windows providing better views of everything, but also because there aren't many opportunities these days to ride in such cars, as they have been completely removed from revenue passenger trains in the US. There are various heritage railroads around the country that run dome cars on their trains, but overall it's not every day that you get the opportunity to ride in one of these things. So for both families and enthusiasts alike, the Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway is a nice way to get out for a couple of hours and relax a bit. The staff today were super friendly and helpful throughout, and especially the conductor working our car. She was literally always chatting with my family and I guess we made her day so much that she asked if she could get a picture with all of us. And that was pretty cool. I mean, that definitely does not happen every day to just anyone riding this train. The adult ticket price for the Vista Dome was $32, but children ages 3 through 12 receive a discount for everything, so for the Vista Dome, their price would be $21. Considering I had no idea this railway even existed until shortly before I came here, it was a pretty cool experience and I would definitely recommend it. With that said, here we are arriving back into Jim Thorpe, which has also been nicknamed the Switzerland of America. That brings us to the end of this unique video. I hope you enjoyed it, and also thank you for sticking around until the end. Stay tuned for more videos coming out as time goes on, but until next time, take care and see you very soon.